Aaron's joined us. Yep, it's Aaron.
Hi, everybody.
There's John. Yeah, go ahead, DK, take it away. Let's do your thing. All right. Well, I think I'll launch this today. Welcome to the March 18th Rail Trail Advisory Committee meeting. Welcome all members. Unless Josh wants to do this, I'll start by reading the remote participation rules.
Yeah, you feel free to start if that's what you'd like. That's fine.
Okay. You have to listen to my clock ding for a minute or two, but I'll find my way over to the remote participation. We'll do that first, and then we will launch right into things. Right. So this is an open meeting. All right. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Staff, when I call your name, please respond. And speakers, please respond. So I'm just going to go around. Joe?
Present.
Yep. Paul's here. Nancy?
Here.
Well, Charlie?
Here.
Larry?
Here.
Scott? Scott's here. I can see him.
Here.
I'm here.
Mark?
Here.
And Matt Duggan?
Here.
Okay, then we have joining us, we have staff. We have Aaron Henry.
Here.
Josh Morris.
Here, present.
Present. And Sarah, our secretary. And Lori, one of our ex-members, but still with us spiritually.
Hi.
Okay. So I'm going to start by reading the, make sure I keep an eye on this remote on the people being admitted here as well. Hey, Mark, can you get the emails if people want to contact us for participation, right?
Yeah, I'll monitor it.
Keep an eye on that. Okay, great.
Yep.
Good evening. This is the open meeting for the Rail Trail Advisory Committee being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12th, 2020. Oh my God, that was a whole year ago. Due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth, due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of the COVID-19 virus, we've been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings, and as such, the governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order, which you can find posted on the town's website, allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely as long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along in the deliberations of the meeting. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will include public content as noted in our agenda. The email address that you would contact us at if you would like to participate is publiccomments@danversrailtrail.org. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that some attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you, and take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the video. Meeting materials. Supporting materials have been provided members of this body and will be shown during the transmission if possible. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless I note otherwise. Meeting ground rules. We are now turning to the first item of the agenda. Before we do so, permit me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. I will introduce each item in the agenda as we go through them and will refer to the appropriate member to lead discussion. After they conclude their remarks, I, the chair, will go down the members, inviting each by name to provide any comment, questions, or motions. Please hold comments until your name is called. Further, please remember to mute your phone or computer when you're not speaking. Please remember to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. For any response, please wait until the chair yields the floor to you and state your name before speaking. I want this one thing here because somebody's trying to get in. There's Idma Maureen. Where do we go here? Sorry about this. I'm moving all over the place. What did I do here? Okay, the agenda, remote participation. For any response, please wait until the chair yields the floor to you and state your name before speaking. If members wish to engage in colloquy with other members, please do so through the chair, taking time to identify yourselves. As I mentioned earlier, we've established an email address for public comments at danversrailtrail.org. This email address is shown online in streaming of this meeting. Residents may email comments as well to this address, and we will read them out as received. All emails must contain the date and the subject line. Please include your full name and address as needed. Finally, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by roll call vote. Whew. All right, close that. I think the first thing I'm supposed to do is I'm going to bring up the agenda, although I think everyone should have it, but I'm going to just do a quick screen share of the agenda. And then what I'll do is I'm actually going to turn it over to Aaron shortly after I do that. But here's the agenda. So we've done the executive order of remote participation. We'll look at the minutes. The new business will cover comments from the public, this discussion of status of the culvert repair at 17, discuss and agree on spring projects, follow up on recent business, the yoga on the trail idea, Karen Moody, follow up on the possible bench bike donation, update the Northwest Extension Northwest Extension project, and then Larry will give us an update on the finances. So that is what we have for the agenda, which has been posted on the town website. So I'm going to start this meeting by turning it over to Aaron and then Josh, but I'll let you take it away, Aaron.
Thank you. Thank you, Paul. Good evening, everybody. I think Paul's throwing it to me just to explain where Georgia is, and we have another new staff helping us out with Rail Trail going forward. Josh Morris, our senior planner in the Planning and Economic Development Division. There's been a few personnel changes going on in town hall. It's caused us to kind of have to audit and revise our staffing plans for who's doing what to what boards. And as part of that shuffle to try to keep our level of service as high as possible, George's time is going to be put into something else, other ways, and Josh and I are going to join you staffing Rail Trail. So I'm happy to take any questions, and working with, I guess, one other issue on the staff front that we're trying to pull together, but I'm not able to report success quite yet, is we are also looking, working with the recreation department on trying to see if we can renew a relationship with Tyler Berry, which we did, I think, 2 summers ago. Yeah. Which allowed us to kind of look to Tyler to help us with some middling level maintenance issues. I think probably not failed culverts, but down trees and the like.
Chainsaw certified.
What's that?
He's chainsaw certified.
Right. So I know the committee enjoyed that relationship, and we are trying to figure out if we can bring Tyler back into the fold. He has an interest, we have an interest, but we've got to make sure that it all adds up. And so we're just doing some of that. So, but in the interim, Josh and I will be tag teaming the rail trail. And if there's any questions, comments, or concerns, please let us know. But just wanted to share that announcement. And I know Georgia, it's, you know, we're peeling her off. We have to peel her off that she went kicking and screaming.
Right. Josh, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. Hello. Hello, everyone. Good evening. My name is Josh Morris. I'm the principal planner in the Planning and Economic Development Division. Good evening. Excited to meet with you all and, you know, discuss how we could keep improving the rail trail. So nice to see everyone. Good evening. And you guys have to teach me, everyone, you know, all the mile markers and all the locations and everything that you're interested in. So
we'll get you
interested in. Yeah, exactly. It'd be a good work site visit time. So
great. Welcome. Any questions
We're good.
for Josh before we move on? All right.
Welcome, Josh.
Thank you very much.
All right.
I think you'll enjoy working with the group. And Josh, I think at some point I'll and Aaron, depending who wants to be involved, it would be good for us to we can just get a separate call and I can give you a little background. If it's nice, maybe we put some masks on, even meet out in the trail, and we can look at a few things over the next couple of weeks. So we can do
That'd be great.
Okay. So the first item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from February 18th. Again, thank you, Sarah, for getting these done. Everyone's had a chance I've circulated those a couple of weeks ago, a chance to look at them. If we're comfortable with any comments on the minutes?
I read them and I think they look good to me, as usual.
You're a tough one to review.
Yeah, did you hear that, Sarah?
So can someone make a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
All right. And second? Larry seconds. All right. So I'm now going to go around and just ask everyone to approve. So Joe Anthony, do you approve the minutes?
I approve.
Okay, I do. Paul McNulty. Nancy?
I do.
Charlie?
I do.
Larry?
Yes, I do.
Mark?
Approved.
Scott? Tell Scott he's going to yell something. Okay, Matt gives us a thumbs up.
No.
Okay. Yeah. All right. We're going to assume that's a thumbs up.
Just, do you approve? Just yell over.
Okay.
He's gonna yell over.
What are we voting?
Approving the minutes.
Yes, I'm good.
All right.
Be right. I'm in a Zoom meeting right
Yeah.
now.
So firstly, thank you, everybody. First, everybody, comments from the public. Any comments from the public? Okay. New business. So this is actually, so George is not here, but Aaron or Josh, we have this culvert repair, and I just was looking for any insight you might have for us. We have got a few questions from people on the trail about timing and such. So any info you have would be appreciated.
Sure. I guess, Aaron, if it's okay, I guess I could tackle it or add a couple comments about it. I was talking to Georgia about it. It looks like the culvert project or reconstruction project should finish should be complete by the end of the month. So that's looking positive. Let me see. And it received an emergency permit from the Conservation Commission. So that was what allowed it to move forward so quickly. So that was helpful.
Yeah, good. That's good to hear. It's by the end of the month. I mean, that's a heck of a project.
Yeah,
I would
and
say-
lots of questions. People want to use it. It's a small section, but people are really missing it.
It's a bizarre artifact of Massachusetts state law that the emergency project gets done faster and cheaper than if we had scheduled.
Yeah.
Than we had scheduled it.
Interesting.
But nonetheless, it was unplanned and it's unanticipated. But the good news is it's going to be done soon.
Excellent.
How much, Aaron, how much do you think I'm just curious. How much, I mean, it seems like a large project. I'm curious as to any idea how much that project is going to cost. And like, we don't get any state funds to replace that. I assume that's on the town. And I assume the town has like a contingency budget of some sort for these type of things.
Yeah, I don't have the nuts and bolts of all of the ways this was funded, but for better or for worse, there's some water and sewer infrastructure there. And there's some utility there. So we were able to mix and match with some of those funds and dip into different contingencies. Again, I won't say I got the number exactly right, but I believe this was around $300,000.
Okay.
I
Thank
think that's
you.
what I think that's what Steve Batha said the other night at the meeting too, when we brought it up, around 300.
Wow.
General reason for it? Was it just general erosion, or was there a pipe burst?
I don't know, Josh, if you got the dirty details.
Yeah, I'm not an engineer, but what sort of information I gathered was that the original steel culvert at the bottom there sort of it collapsed or fell in on itself. Was what I was told.
It was like
saw
one
the
of those
dumpster.
corrugated steel pipe. I think it just reached the end of its lifetime.
Clearly.
Yeah, I walked by it yesterday. It's all in the dumpster on the street there. It was all steel in there, so you could definitely see where that thing would have failed over a long period of time. But
Any other any questions? Other questions, comments?
Yeah, if I could, Aaron or Josh, I'm not able to see it, but I can imagine with all, Nancy, thank you for sending me the pictures.
Yeah.
All the traffic of construction equipment and the cement pipes and everything going up and down the trail, I can imagine it's a bit of a mess at this point. Come to the end of the project, how do you see recapping this to get it back to its original state?
You know, we haven't addressed that, but we'll bring it up. I assume we were going to get back to the surface that we had prior to. Obviously, in some spots, the trail is getting there, but we'll go back to DPW and we'll be in touch. That's a good point, but we were planning on restoring it.
Okay, if I could connect a couple of some things. Perhaps there's a company in Topsfield called AEG that does trails, have a lot of experience. We're looking to them to work with them down the road on some of our repairs. Might not be a bad idea to introduce them at this stage. Finish. Another possibility to plant a really wild seed, Aaron, is maybe you could pave from Pickering down to look at the from Pickering down to Holden.
Hey, Charlie, I don't know if it's just you. No, you're getting echo from me too now. I don't know.
I was going to say, Charlie, there was a lot of reverb when you were talking, but I think I gathered that you had a vendor you were interested in. If you can send me an email with that name, because I was having a hard time hearing. But I guess I would, if we're not talking, muting ourselves, so something's bouncing back.
I'm getting some feedback. I do want to see if we could get the idea of paving it from Pickering to Holden, at least in the realm of thinking about it or thought. See how the folks in Danvers respond to a piece of paved trail.
It would fix the problem at the end. Pickering.
Yeah, Pickering, there'd be constant washouts down there. This would take away that aspect of it. Okay, just wanted to get my.
So, Aaron, I'm familiar with the company Charlie's talking about. I can follow up with you separately on that. This is let's hopefully this improves. Is everyone hearing me echo as well? Is echo?
Yes, it's choppy.
Okay. Do we have any technical advice? I'm going to actually just ask DCAT if it's still there. Do you have anything on this issue? Do people log off and log on?
I don't think it's on our.
Mr. Bro, I think you're unmuted. I don't know that it's you, but you're the only one who's not muted.
Who's? Oh, I'm muted.
How's that? Are we echoing again?
That fixed it.
Well, maybe we.
I guess it's Paul. Paul, you're the culprit.
We'll see. I'm going to go back again, see if it's me. No, I'm just wondering if. So all of us should unmute, I guess. I should mute really when we're in between. So.
It all sounds good now.
Yeah, Paul, it seems like the issue's been resolved.
Yeah, definitely.
Right. Let's plow on then. Thank you guys for that update. So this next. Oh, sorry, Joe. Go ahead.
So I didn't hear what Charlie said. Can you summarize, Charlie?
To summarize, two thoughts I wanted to give to Aaron and Josh. One is the project comes to an end here. We'd like to see to get the trail back to its original condition, or maybe better. A couple of schools of thoughts is that K&R Construction out of Middleton, which Paul's going to send the contact information to Aaron, has done many trails. They know how to do it. They know the right composition of moisture content when we do lay a trail. And since we're going to be working with them down the road for some repairs, maybe it's time to bring them into the frame. The other thought was that from Pickering to Holden, there's roughly 1,500 feet there, linear feet. perhaps it's time to maybe pave a section of trail and see how folks in Danvers respond to that. Thinking of the town's point of view, maybe this looks good from their point of view too, to bring in a finished piece of material. I don't know. Just getting some thought out there and plant some seeds. All right, Joe?
Yeah, that was great. Could I just comment on that a little bit? One thing, if we do pave it, we might want to check with the Concom on that, because we would be adding impervious surface to the site, and I think we're near a drainage area there. Obviously, we're near a drainage area. So I think we should coordinate ahead of time before we go too far with that thought. Maybe Josh would be good for you to take that.
Very good.
Okay, I'm sorry. You talk. That's fine.
Go ahead, Larry.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment is that I guess I hear Charlie about wanting to pave a section, but my concern would be that what if everybody likes the pavement and they don't like the stone dust? I think that would take away from the trail. I think the fact that the trail is stone dust is part of the appeal of it. At least it is for me. So I would be a little leery of that, I guess, in terms of introducing one piece of pavement might lead to more pavement throughout the trail. So that's my comment.
Larry, to your point, the long-term plan, now this is getting way beyond the realm of what we're talking here, but the long-term plan was that 70% of the population of walkers on the trail and bikers live between Chestnut and Collins. So if we could show a piece of paved within that track, maybe down the road, we could pave that 2-mile section for people to work out of Hobart Street, park their cars and walk either way. Just a long range thought, but again, we're a little beyond the scope of finishing up the trail because of the culvert.
Well, I guess my comment was I'm not looking to pave the trail. I would be cautioning against, I don't like pavement. So that's my view. I'm not a fan of pavement in any event.
Okay, so it's interesting. If 2 mics are on, it seems to be when it echoes. So I mean, the chances of that happening probably are small, but I'll follow up with Aaron on this. And I think the other point that Charlie was trying to convey was that this area, especially up at the Pickering crossing, that is one of our worst problem spots from the standpoint of erosion. And that may require, maybe not full paving, but it may require 50 feet of paving, something like that. So if there's opportunities while there's trucks and everything in there to improve one of the trouble spots, I think that would be good. So well, Aaron and Josh, we can follow up on it because just to make sure that the resurfacing is thought through would be helpful. Okay.
Sure.
Okay. The next item that we have, which is going to be a little bit of a tough one to do with the way this muting, the sound's working, is this is the time of year when we start working on a variety of spring projects, spring cleaning, that type of thing. So I was just going to toss it open, but with the muting, the way it's working. So I listed a few things. Let me toss out items and let people comment on them, and we'll try to plow through this list, and we'll see if we can do this without going nuts with the sound. So the first item that I had is something we normally are deciding now, is do we put out the portable potties? And I may also look a little bit to Aaron and Josh on this from a town's perspective, because you didn't do it during the COVID thing last year. So do people have thoughts on putting out the potties this year? And if so, do we put them in both locations, meaning at the Hobart lot as well as up at the Putnamville Park? So I guess so. Just comments on. We have a little time on this one because we normally get them in like May 1st, right around there. We have a little time. But questions, or comments from anybody on this topic?
Do we know if there's any state guidelines as to whether we can have them, or with all the restrictions that are going on?
I know that I don't know of any. Aaron, go ahead.
You're permitted to put them out. I think where we were last spring, we've learned a lot over the last 12 months, I guess for the worse, of how to deal with all of this stuff. But you're not prohibited from putting them out. I think last year we didn't know, and there was guidelines about how often they had to be cleaned and all of that stuff. So I would say if you do it this year, you want to try to find a vendor, and I know you have a relationship with one, and they probably offer it. We, for the town side, recreation in particular, requested that our porta potties came with a hand sanitizer station on the inside of them. That's probably standard on most, but it's not. You want to make sure you're explicit about getting the hand sanitizer and knowing that it will be regularly maintained. And I think weekly is what we were striving for. These things are kind of used at your own risk. But I would say our goal is to have as close to normal a summer as possible with our town programming. That, again, is all based on the assumption that the numbers continue to move in the right direction. And that's not a guarantee. We're seeing other jurisdictions moving backwards again. But we're going to stay optimistic that our vaccination efforts are rolling out and that we won't see a third wave. So we're trying to think optimistically and want to, move ahead. So it's up to you guys, but there's no prohibition.
Thank you.
I'll start this. Thank you, Aaron. And I always enter porta potties at my own risk. But I'm in favor of putting them back out. Endicott Park's had them down there since COVID started. And like Aaron said, there's 2 of them down there with the stations and the sanitation inside. And I don't think they've had a problem with theirs. So other than us, maintaining them, I'm in favor of putting them out this year.
Anyone that's not in favor of putting them out? Okay, good. I'll take that as we should put them out. So then there's a related question, which is we usually put out 2. We have one at Hobart and one up at Putnamville Park. Do people comfortable with putting out both of them? And what we'll want to do is if we do put out the both of them, we're probably going to have to ask Tom, who lives up towards Putnam Park, to keep an eye on that one, since Bob is not he just hasn't been quite as active recently. I mean, he may help out, but we'll need to make sure that somebody keeps an eye on it. So do people have any thoughts or comments on whether we put in 1 or 2? Well, there we go, 2. I like this.
We also, just so you know, Aaron, the vendor we had last year cleaned the one at the Hobart lot twice a week.
Right.
And there is an inside sanitizer, so we wouldn't have to do anything different.
All right. So,
Hey, Paul, this is Mark. We had a public comment. I don't know if you want me to wait till the end, or do you want me to read it with? I can't hear you.
Sure, go ahead and read it. Yeah.
It's basically just about the Stone Dust. Stone Dust, I like. Peabody's Rail Trail is paved, and I do not like to ride my bike there. The Stone Dust is better in my opinion.
All right. Thank you for the feedback. Larry's happy.
That was Larry. He just emailed.
From Peabody.
Peabody.
He's deserted us.
He's
Okay.
an alias.
So sounds like we're in pretty good agreement on doing the potties. We usually do an Earth Day cleanup on, I think it's April 22nd again this year. We can confirm the date. You can just look at it. So do people have thoughts on getting out there for one day and making it a bit of a community event? We can split up. We can see what various community organizations want to get out there for a day. Thoughts, opinions on that?
My calendar stinks. It doesn't have, oh, no, it doesn't have Earth Day, just tax day.
Comments?
I can help as long as it's not on April 24th, which is a Saturday. I'm busy that day.
Well, Nancy, check.
Dolly, when are you coming home?
About May 7th.
Let's postpone it till May 7th.
Google says, Thursday, April 22nd is Earth Day.
So if we did it, we could do it the weekend
After.
after if we wanted to. And Larry can't do it on the 24th.
That's the Saturday after.
Yeah. What about the 25th? The people kind of, this is normally we get out there late morning, spend 2 hours, the town does the pickup of the trash, whatever we pick up. Do people have strong feelings about trying to organize something around on the 25th, Sunday the 25th?
We'll miss Charlie.
Thumbs up, thumbs down. No response.
Works for me.
It's a thumbs up, okay.
Works for me.
All right. Charlie won't be here.
And I won't be there.
No, oh, come on, make it a reason to come up, Lori. I gotta go pick up
I'll
trash.
be up in June.
Paul, do we have any groups that are volunteering?
We do have. I'd look to them. I'd reach out to Kiwanis and Rotary, see if there's any high school kids. I don't know what's going on with high school services.
I haven't had a word from them.
That's because they waived the 40 hours
I
this
had
year.
a feeling that's what
Oh, good,
happened.
good.
We got an email, they waived it.
Maybe they'll keep waiving it. All right.
Although I'll miss them, but
Yeah.
it seemed foolish to have it as a graduation requirement. That's not volunteering, in my mind.
All right. So so I'm going to take this as we'll do the 25th, and that's still a month and a half away. So we'll get closer. I can put together a little more details on that. Does anyone want to take this one on as far as organizing Earth Day? We should give it to Tom.
Oh, stop it.
He won't be here though. He won't be back. All right. All right. So we'll plan to do that on the 25th. I'll put out the pedestrian paddle. I'll take in the snow. So the shed. So Charlie, you should be around for the shed install.
I'll take care of that. You'll probably go in around the end of May.
Okay.
By the time I get back, we'll have to dig up some sod or rototill it out, put a base down and line up the installation. But I'll take care and orchestrate that whole thing.
Great. Thank you. And that will also give us a chance to work with the town on looking at that intersection spot, current trail to new trail, to see if there's any other implications of that work happening. Okay. Are there other topics that people want to bring up as far as like springtime activities that we normally do? No? All right. Onward and upward. We had down here to follow up on yoga on the trail. Terry Moody was going to work with Georgia. I haven't heard any further on that, but we did have time. We did tell Terry was not planning to do anything anyways until the summertime. This was the idea of doing some kind of an event along the trail, which we yoga, and any proceeds be donated to the Rail Trail Committee. So there's nothing really to say there. Next item is following up on this bench and bike repair station. So I got an email today from the Electric Insurance, Robin Electric Insurance. They have in fact raised about $2,000, $1,900 to $2,000, and they would like to go ahead and install the purchase and put in a bike station with some kind of a small comment about the person that worked there, Norm Wozniak, I believe it was. Because he was a big advocate of the trail. He was well liked by the people at that company. And I think, Charlie, we would probably try to put the bike station in at around the same time that we were putting the shed in. It would make sense to kind of look at that area holistically. And Aaron, this kind of touches on the comment as well, like what else might we want to do with that area around the intersection of the two trails. So we could put some benches in. We've got this donation of a bike station, which we can use. So. Any questions or comments on the donations? Again, thank you to the folks at Electric Insurance for this work. It's really, really appreciated. Okay. Everyone's so quiet because everyone's muted. And Aaron and Josh, this one is update on the extension project.
I want to thank several of you for attending our abutter notification session or our abutter session, and I'm blanking on the date. I think it was February 10th. We met with well, we did a large mailing to the folks in between Hobart and Beaver Park. Had a handful of attendees. Nothing major. There was one abutter who had some concerns, and Georgia and I had a subsequent call with that party to go over their concerns in more depth. And good news to report there was, I think almost all of their concerns were very actionable and things that we could address. And they weren't just saying no for no's sake. They had, I'm not comfortable with this, can we do this? And I think most of those comments were very reasonable, and I think we should be able to make those accommodations. So that was really good news. The next night, February 11th, the extension part just for the bridge work went before Conservation Commission. And again, that went well and was, I believe it was approved that night. I'm not sure if the decision issued. I'd have to, I don't know if Josh, if you got anything out of George on that, but I believe it was a one and
No.
done night.
I
think
do
it-
not, but we could get it for our next meeting.
Yeah, but I think it was, I know nothing happened. They didn't have to come back for a second meeting. So I'm assuming that was issued. And just today, and I was not able to get it to you in a timely fashion, but I just got an update on construction schedule from the engineering division. And again, things look good. There was a little bit of a delay from what we thought because of some utility work, and the need to de-energize that line is a bit more involved than we had anticipated in the original schedule. But nonetheless, there will be pre-construction activity occurring months from now. And I'll forward that information to you all in the next day or two. I apologize for not passing that on sooner, but things look good on the extension.
So when you say, it's Paul here, so when you say months from now, is that like June? Is that kind of when you're thinking?
Let me just see if I can find the email. There's a
Or
photo.
maybe, I mean, it's more, I think maybe this just is a separate call or meeting, whatever we do it with you and Josh, and to just make sure we're discussing it in the context of the shed work. And it sounds like, but just that if you're going to be machinery in there, I don't know where they're going to put their stuff and all that, you know?
Yeah, we should coordinate. I was able to pull it up.
Okay.
We're looking at notice to proceed with work third week of June.
30th,
Third week.
third week of June. Okay.
Third week, June 21st. Again, there'll be some fungibility with that as we get bids back and all of that, but we're going to advertise the project next week.
Oh, okay.
So it's real, it's happening. And as once we have selected a contractor, I think that'd be the best time to sit, Paul, with you guys and make sure that DPW didn't have plans for layout area or anything like that.
Right.
My guess is they're going to want to be on that side. There's room for layout on the stream side of Hobart.
Yeah.
And that simplifies the need, for crossing Hobart with heavy equipment, but we should have that conversation, and we can do so. And maybe next week we'll follow up. I think we got a little punch list going.
All right. Any
Yeah, I have a
questions?
question. Yeah, I do. So the NTP's third week in June, and that would be for the work of the bridge, and then the trail and any drainage or grading that needs to be done from Hobart to Beaver Park, correct? Yeah, okay. So let's see, the last meeting, we brought up the point about how the funds are being utilized. We had a pretty good funding source to start with. And, we were just wondering how much money is going for the bridge and how much money for the trail. And are we going to have money left over to do some other trail extension work as well?
And again, I'm happy to, I'll pass the Mass Works contract on. It has some of those details. I think that you probably make a lot of sense to you, Joe. There should be money left over. I don't know how far those dollars are going to get us. That said, we still have town meeting appropriation from a couple years back with some money in it. And we obviously have some of the donations that the 501c3s accepted. I do have a summary budget sheet, and that's what I'll pass along to the group. And Paul, with your approval, I guess I do have an update for annual town meeting and rail trail appropriation, and this might be a timely moment to bring it up.
Sure, yeah.
So we've had some conversations about trying to figure out how we can address some of the larger maintenance items associated with the existing trail. And this, I know I'm going to pick on the cut north of Wenham as one of the ones that we really need to get to, and it's a big ticket item compared to some of the other ones. The plan for annual town meeting is the $8,000 typical allocation is in the grounds warrant article, DPW grounds warrant article. Ms. Bernard is here. Thank you very much for the selectmen getting us through on Saturday with that. The board's next kind of public phase of the budget process will be to review warrant articles. And we are going to, as staff, put forward a warrant article to allow us to, there was about $150,000, $160,000 appropriated over town meeting 18 and 19 for the extension. We'd like to broaden the scope of that article to allow us to look at the existing trail, to tackle some projects on the existing trail from that funding source, as opposed to asking town meeting for new money. The factor that's changed our thinking on that is the $800,000 and change Mass Works grant and the $100,000 earmark we got from the state fundamentally has changed kind of the funding sources. But that said, we may not have unanimity on how we should use those funds, but nonetheless, I'll send the sheet along so that you can all review that. But I think being able to tap into that fund, the town meeting warrant articles that I mentioned were specifically worded for the extension. And that was, again, before we had the earmark or the Mass Works funding available to us. And I think in order to try to get one or two of these other projects on your list done on the existing trail, I think it's worth going to town meeting and explaining that we've got a little bit more need than we anticipated, but we also have a lot more funding at our disposal than we did even 2 years ago. So I'll forward those to Paul to distribute to the group. And then maybe next meeting, if there's more concerns or questions, we can talk about it in more depth at the next meeting. So I hope that answers the questions on the extension. I'm happy to take more, but thought I would throw in that little update because this has all been rather late breaking. I just met with the finance director this afternoon.
That's great. So Aaron, just so I think I follow, is essentially saying you'd like the flexibility to take funds that were approved for the extension, town funds were approved for the extension a couple of years ago, and be able to apply those funds to this kind of 80 grand's worth of repairs that we've been teeing up in the coming years. Is that essentially what you're proposing?
Yep. I don't know how much of that we'll be allowed to tap into, but I think that there's certainly one or two of those projects that, we need to throw some, effort into. And I think this funding is the most appropriate way to get that done without having to ask town meeting for new money.
Hey, Paul. I have a question back on the bridge. Aaron, I should probably know this, but is the bridge, are we sending the specs out and that bridge is being constructed elsewhere and being brought in to be installed? Or is that bridge actually, with all the delays in materials, are those materials being brought on site and the bridge being built there?
I'll have to get back to you, Mark, on that. We're speccing the bridge for a particular product that we've all looked at and vetted, and I just don't know if that product is built elsewhere and brought to the job site or if those are assembled on site. I'll have to get back to you on that.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question. Aaron, going back to, you mentioned a utility piece of work that has to be done early on in the extension work. Is that work involved with the utility, is that part of the project for the extension?
Yeah, the actual, when the work on the abutments and the span happen,
Yeah.
that line needs to be de-energized. And so there needs to be some other work in the area to make sure that the circuits, when we turn that circuit off, those other circuits are going to be able to handle the load.
So that comes out of our funding, I guess.
I don't, that's the electric division is going to handle that if there's any costs associated with that. I don't think there's major costs. It's just more just lining it up in our construction phase. It's like, oh, tomorrow we're going to be out there. Let's de-energize the line. And I think the utility said it's not going to be quite that simple. We're going to need a little bit of time to prepare. I don't think there's huge costs associated with that. It's just, I think there needs to be more legwork done, but I can get more detail on that.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes the utility cost is quite a bit. I mean, you have to keep an eye on that. But yeah, hopefully it's not. It's a simple thing.
Internally to date, cost hasn't been brought up as the issue. It was more just the logistics of de-energizing that segment needs a lot more work than we assumed.
Thank you.
Yeah, I noticed I was walking out by the Beaver Brook the other day, and I noticed there is some big telephone poles there with utility lines. Is that what you're talking about? Is that the issue? Those, it looks like they might have to be moved to accommodate the bridge going on the trail. I could have it wrong. I may not be realizing the exact route, but it looked like some of those poles, well, at least one pole might have to be moved.
I don't know. I think off of my memory, I want to say there might be one pole that needs to be moved, but I'm not even sure. There was some test borings that were going to be done, and I think that was going to determine whether or not it really needed to be moved. But those lines are a little bit more robust than the typical ones running down our street. So again, I think that's part of the logistic issue. But I can get back to you on that, Larry.
Thanks, fellows, the updates, Aaron. I think what I'll do is we'll follow up I don't know when exactly, but probably sometime in late April. We'll get together just to make sure we're on kind of all the same page when it comes to where the work will begin, where we put the shed in. I mean, there's a lot of these things that, you know, just kind of getting on the same page. We can do that in late April or May. So I'll follow up with Josh and you on that, and anyone here would be invited to attend. So, okay.
So I just Paul, if I may, just to make sure I got my to-do list correct. Questions that or actions I'm going to do is, I think I got the first one. I don't even understand my note, and it was 30 seconds ago. I'm going to send you all the overall MassWorks contract. That kind of has the detail for your construction timeline. I will send you the kind of extension budget, which includes the MassWorks, but also the earmark and the town meeting appropriations. I will answer the question of whether or not the bridge is assembled on site or brought in, and then the pole replacement and the logistics of the de-energizing. Does that sound like the punch list that we were just asked to follow up on?
Well, the one thing I'd add is that some group, some 2 or 3 people of this committee, you and Josh and maybe Steve King, we should meet before work begins, just to make sure we're all on the same page, and any implications it might have for us on the things we were thinking of doing in that area, right across from Townsend, right where the trails intersect. Okay, cool. So that's kind of all of the new business and current business that we had outlined. And the next thing we would move to is the rail trail finance update. And so, Larry, do you have any updates for us on where we are with the finances?
All right, I'm back. Well, the funds have been pretty much, we haven't been spending much or bringing in much. We did get one donation come in from Karen Wagner, but that's the only new money coming in the last month. So we are taking a fresh look at the renewal list. Paul and I are talking about that. We're going to, reach out to people that didn't respond to the email program, and I'll prepare a mailing to the ones that we feel that we can mail, and there may be some reach out to some of the others, possibly phone calls, or stop-ins to just verify that they're still interested. So we need to take a fresh look at the list, and we're going to do that in the next week or two. And that's about it, really. Any questions for me otherwise?
All right. Thank you, Larry.
All right.
So the only last topic we have, unless anyone wants to, is there anything else anyone wants to bring up before we basically decide on the next meeting? Okay, we'll go to the next meeting. So actually, before we start the next meeting, I'm going to have a question for Aaron and Josh, I guess. Are there any guidelines as far as when the town is thinking of moving back to in-person meetings? Is it like, have there been any discussions? Is it April, May, December? Yeah.
Board of Selectmen has been meeting in person. The school committee has met in person at least once. I'm assuming there's going to be several other boards following suit. I was actually on a call earlier today with a number of area towns. There is some movement of people moving back. I will, I'm encouraging people to stay remote for a little while longer. I think the governor is going to move us to phase 4, part 1 on March 22nd. It is unclear what exactly the standards will be for public meetings in phase 4, part 1. Phase 4 is the new normal. So we're making progress, but part 1 of new normal alludes to that we're not going to be unfettered in that time. Several specific sector-specific guidelines have been published for phase 4, part 1, but we have yet to see what we need to see in order to understand fully what the landscape is going to look like for public meetings. But I know there are boards moving to in-person.
So it basically sounds like stay remote for the next meeting. So which is fine.
We're encouraging those that we staff to stay remote for now, but we understand we're all growing very impatient with living behind a screen.
Yep. All right.
Hey,
So
Paul, I did have another question. I was a little bit slow to react to your solicitation. The last meeting, I brought up the point about the swamp walk, and I think you were gonna check back with the town, or is there any progress or anything new on that?
I was beginning to work with Georgia on that, and that was just when this transition was happening to Josh. So there has been no progress to my eyes, to my mind, and I will follow up with Josh and Aaron to see what the town's thoughts are on taking responsibility for the maintenance and such on the trail.
Swamp walk.
Excuse me, for the swamp walk. Sorry, swamp walk. Okay. Any comments?
We look forward to that conversation.
Okay. All right. Well, now with that, we're going to look at the date. So our traditional meeting date would be April 15th, Thursday, April 15th. Any concerns with holding our meeting on that day? Used to be tax day. It's not tax day this year.
It isn't?
No, they moved it. Or they're moving it. So are we all okay with April 15? All right.
Joe.
Looks like it. Joe, you're okay with that?
Yes, I am.
Thumbs up. Okay. Thumbs up. I'm seeing thumbs up.
Background.
Thumbs up. Okay. Looks like people are good with it. All right. We're cool with it. All right.
You can't see Matt.
Can't see Matt. Yeah, give us a little thumbs up thing, little icon there if you're okay with April 15th. No, he's not. He's deep. He's deep in something else. Okay. So we're gonna go with April 15th. I think unless there's any other comments, anything else we need to wrap up, I think we can adjourn.
I second the motion to adjourn.
All right.
I put the motion
You
into
put
adjourn.
down. I'll second it. I think we're all set. We're all approved. I think we're okay with it. All right. Thanks, everyone. Good night. Thanks
night.
again, Josh. Looking forward to working with you.
Very good.
Bye.
Very nice seeing everyone. Have a great evening, everyone.